Welcome to the United States of Small Business, a podcast where the essence of American entrepreneurship is celebrated in every episode. With host John Quick at the helm, join us as we embark on a journey through the heart of the nation, uncovering the inspiring stories of small business owners from coast to coast. Experience the vibrant energy of bustling cities and the serene beauty of small towns, all while discovering how individuals are turning their entrepreneurial dreams into reality, even against the greatest odds. Each episode brings you face to face with the dreamers, creators, and doers who form the economic backbone of our country, all sharing their spirit of innovation and resilience. Whether you are in the early stages of sowing the seeds for your own business, scaling new heights in your current venture, or simply captivated by tales of grit and triumph, you are in the right place. Tune in on platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and beyond. For deeper insights and to connect with the heart and soul of America's main streets, visit UnitedStatesOfSmallBusiness.com. Subscribe to United States of Small Business with host John Quick now and be inspired by the powerful stories of entrepreneurship, community, and the unwavering pursuit of the American dream. Begin your journey of inspiration with us today.
Welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast. I'm your host, John Quick. In today's episode, we explore the transformative journey of Nancy Marks from a corporate career to founding the Glass Arts Collective. Opening just as the world was hit by unprecedented challenges, Nancy's studio has become a beacon of creativity, resilience, and community. Join us as we delve into the world of glass art, where imagination meets the vibrant interplay of color and light, and discover how Nancy's passion has ignited a collective love for this memorizing medium. So without further ado, Nancy, welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast.
John, I am very excited to be here and be part of a small business in the United States.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Before we go into talking about your artistic background and what you're doing now, tell me about, you have a very unique first career. You have 35-year career in the corporate world. Talk to me about that, and how was that career?
The career was really pretty amazing. It was all over the place. It's a lot easier to look back at it and see it being really positive. It stemmed from such a large variety of types of jobs. So when I first came to California, I worked at a record distribution center and in what used to be called personnel. And from there, I jumped over to ABC Entertainment, and then ABC Motion Pictures, and then Columbia Pictures, which then became Sony Pictures, and then IT department, where I spent the majority of my time was in IT. And most of the technical stuff in the back end, not really desktop, laptop programming or anything like that. But I learned a lot between all these different areas, and I was at IBM, I was at Toshiba. I did all kinds of fun things, and I actually really enjoyed talking to people and working with people. And it got to the point where my husband and I decided he was going to sell the business, which was a technology infrastructure company here in Thousand Oaks, California. And I wasn't quite ready to retire as much as he was. So in my 60s, I sort of took up a hobby. Okay, late 50s, but took up a hobby. And I learned about fused glass because of my mom. So thanks, Mom. There is an assisted living facility that she and my dad were in, and they had someone coming on site teaching fused glass. And I'm like, what is fused glass? I have absolutely no idea. And I don't think I have an artistic bone in my body, which I hear from so many people. I just chuckle every time because I said the same thing. But it was my mom, and Mom doesn't care if I'm good at it or not. So I went to the class outside of this where they are, so I could learn about it. And I fell in love with it. I couldn't believe how easy it is to work with. All the fears of, getting cut, all those kinds of things, they disappeared. I was taught to do it the right way. And by the time my husband actually did close and sell his business, there was a studio in town that was also closing. And that's where I had been playing. And so it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So, with the help of a lot of friends, because within my corporate career, marketing was not something I learned. I learned how to run a business, but and a lot of back end stuff and deal with vendors, but not marketing. So I let my ego like take a hike, and I
Mhm.
found people who were better at various parts of art with glass, and I opened my own studio.
That's pretty awesome. So talk to me about, do you think your career, 35-year career, helped you gain some skill sets to be able to open this business? And if so, what were some of those skill sets specifically?
Oh, absolutely. So working with people, not being afraid to ask questions. My mom taught me that too. So thanks again, Mom. Is not, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, the worst somebody can say is no. Would you show me this or would you explain this? If somebody didn't want to, I didn't take it personally. I just went to the next person and asked. There's a lot of logic to it, and I am a more logical thinker. And so it has to make sense to me, the processes. And I became very good at kind of being a troubleshooter. If we had processes that in a business that weren't working well, I grabbed people from other departments and we, as a team, would figure out what a better process or documentation would be for that process so that everyone would understand how the previous people were doing that, whatever it was, to who was going to get it next. And everybody received it in a format that they needed it. And it helped improve processes tremendously. So when I went to go look work for my husband, he's my second husband. He already had the business established. Again, there were processes that weren't working as well. And it was a much smaller business than places like IBM and Toshiba and Sony Pictures. So I ended up getting much more involved in the accounting. So I really learned about running a business, sales tax, how to handle, broken things, how to do returns, um, and really monitor all of those pieces much more than I had ever done before. And those have all helped me tremendously. What I didn't learn, because there's going to be things besides marketing, I didn't learn how to read a crystal ball. So I opened my studio doors 5 weeks before COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
So there was a new challenge that I had not learned in corporate, and I looked inside. And again, so much of this is mindset. I mean, I can look at things and go, "Oh, this is the worst thing in the world," or I turned it around again and didn't let my ego do the talking and said, how many times in my life have I said, I wish I had more hours in the day? I wish I had more time. I don't have enough hours to get something done. Well, now I have a lot of time to learn my skill better, to refine my processes that I started somewhat quickly, and improved the layout of the studio more. And as we were able to start opening up, I have a gift shop in the front. And so when retail opened, I was allowed to open. And we were able to start taking small groups of people, spread them out even more than at a restaurant, and safety always being a highest priority for me. I'm such a mom. Um, and I just I just fell in love with it. And photographing glass is not as easy as I would have thought. I love doing photographs. When I was in Alaska, I love taking photographs. Oh my gosh, even the glaciers, the animals, oh, everything was beautiful up there. So I love where you are. But glass has a lot more reflections. So I take my time. I don't rush things. And there's a tremendous amount of laughter in our studio, something that I didn't have in my previous jobs. And there
That's pretty
isn't this
cool.
pressure of deadlines, which I really appreciate. I mean, we have to get things done, but it isn't someone else's deadline.
So tell me a little bit about the process of making this art, because there's going to be folks listening and they're going to think, what is fused glass? So talk to us a little bit about what it is and what is the process to make the art.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite subjects. Thank you for asking. Um, what it is you come in and you're going to make something flat first. And we take glass, we use sheet glass, and we cut it up into smaller pieces. We teach you how to cut. In the first class in my studio, we teach you how to cut straight lines because it's learning to use the tools. When you try to go and do too many things at one time, it's hard for me. So I'd rather keep things in bite-sized pieces. So they're 2-hour classes for the most part, but you learn how to cut safely glass and be able to use all these different colors. There's opalescence where the light's not going to come through, transparency where the light comes shining through, kind of like a stained glass window. And you assemble it. And we put a little bit of glue on it so that I can carry it to kiln. So the kilns are similar to ceramic kilns, but the heating elements are in slightly different places. And I put it in the kiln at room temperature, so we're not dealing with hot glass like blown glass at all. And it goes into the kiln, and the cycle's approximately 18 hours. There's a lot of different cycles we can use, but I use very conservative cycles because my kilns are big and I put a lot of different pieces in at the same time. So it ramps up slowly. And for those people who are scuba divers, it's similar to safety stops. You want to make sure that the glass is completely evenly heated all the way through. Like a cake in an oven, the outside of the cake always seals first and always cooks first. We want it all cooking at the same temperature. So it takes safety stops along the way up, and then it takes safety stops on the way down. And I'll open the kiln when it's cool enough that I could touch it, but we let it cool down even more so and pull out these beautiful pieces of glass where have gone up to between 14 and 1500 degrees, and it becomes a light molten, like a thick honey, and it fuses the glass together, which helps eliminate those little lines that maybe weren't quite as straight or the little nicks that didn't quite get cut off. They get all softened and rolled together, and it's amazing what these kilns can do.
That's pretty cool. So somewhere along the lines, you transitioned from also just doing the art yourself to teaching folks. Tell me about that kind of journey of deciding wanting to pass this artistic expression on to other folks and how that's gone so far.
Oh, I decided to teach. Actually, I taught in high school. I taught television production, and my approach to teaching was a bit different. So, as a senior in high school, talking to seventh and eighth graders versus now, um, one of the beautiful things about working in, I think, any type of art is there is a very therapeutic mental health benefit. It really does. And COVID was a perfect example. You could escape anything that was happening outside the studio for a couple of hours and relax and focus on colors and designs. And I laugh, I embrace my imperfections. I don't always cut a perfect line. I never colored inside the lines. And Price Waterhouse years ago told me to stay inside the box because I was outside the box too much. So this art has been absolutely a godsend to me because it fits all those check boxes for me. So I don't have to be perfect, and I can come out with a stunning piece of art. And it took a while for me to say I'm an artist. And other people were telling me I was, but it was hard for me to say those words. But I am really proud to be fused glass artist now.
That's awesome. So, what kind of advice would you give folks that maybe they're in the corporate themselves, or in a job maybe that's not artistic, and they want to venture off into what they feel maybe called to do as an artist? What's some advice you give for folks to, stick their toe in the water and take a crack at it?
Well, I highly recommend you find what's the right thing for you. Um, Fused glass is for me, and it's for a lot of people. As they're discovering it, they can't believe. I mean, they say all the same things I did. I didn't think I had a creative bone in my body. I can't color in the lines. They said it too. Find what works for you to make you feel good about you. And then if you don't have all the right skills, don't be afraid to ask other people to help you. Don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. I think when you try to do everything yourself, it is so overwhelming. And you all have friends. I sound like I'm from Texas, y'all. We all have friends, and don't be afraid to ask for their help. And sometimes you're going to ask for help from people that you're going to have to hire to help do something initially. And that's okay. Let someone else set up your books, but do it with them so you understand it. And it's amazing what you can do when you find your true passion.
That's awesome. So who's somebody that you've looked up to along the way of your journey that's kind of been a hero to you, and why?
I have several of them. One's a beautiful woman named Amy, who's an art teacher. And she was really very caring and supportive of everything I was doing. And she was helping me with a lot of the little tools of creating a website, design, creating a logo, those types of things that are creative, but outside of my visions. And so she helped me with that. She helped me find people. And there's several other instructors, there's several other friends who are involved in Fused Glass that were all so supportive. And they were telling people about my studio. And those kinds of things, I mean, it's like you're almost embarrassed. Of course, you had that imposter syndrome at first for me, because I didn't have a business like this before. And honestly, I didn't do fused glass for a long time before I opened my studio. And I realized that more people needed the escape place to get away from everything else. Even if just for a little while, the peace of mind it gives you. I have a cute story. There's a woman who came in with her daughter and her daughter's friend, and she was going to sit in the corner and work because she has so much work to do and she can't get it done. She brought her daughter and her daughter's friend. They're going to take the class. And being the playful person I am, I said, please come and just break one piece, just so that you know what your daughter's doing. And you can talk about it. When she's sharing her experience, it will make more sense to you. And she goes, no, 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 I have to get all this done. I said, it only takes a couple minutes, I promise. I won't take too much time. Stepping away from everything for a few minutes is always a good thing. And so she did. And once she broke that first piece of glass to go the way she wanted, she said, you know what? I'm taking the whole class with the girls. And she did. And she laughed and she had a great time. There was a lot of laughter. She called me the next morning to tell me that when she got home, she sat down to do her work. And because she cleared her mind, that she had everything so wrapped up, so tight in, that she got the work done so quickly, effortlessly, and she couldn't believe what a difference that class made. And it was just a little thing, but it made a big difference. And that's what fires me up. It's those kinds of stories and hearing people talk about how it helps them through something that's going bad in their life, or bringing joy to their friends when they make something and give it as a gift, or they buy something from the gift shop and they come back and tell me how much their friend appreciated it. Those things are like the uh, the, the the rocket juice for me. I just, it's like, okay, what can I do now? What can I do now? Look what I'm doing.
Keeps
Look
you
what I'm
going.
doing.
That's awesome. So tell folks they're going to want to, they're thinking to themselves, where do I find this art studio? It sounds awesome. Tell folks where they can find you online, and if you're on social media, how can they find you, and all those details.
Thank you. Yes. So it's glassartscollective.com. And my gift shop is part of my website. So you can see art for 12 different artists right now in the gift shop. So Open Studio members, they're supporting me at the studio. So I want to support back. So they can put their things in my gift shop as well. So there's this huge variety and we ship throughout the United States. Then there is the physical location, which is in Westlake Village, California, which is northwest of Los Angeles. So if you're coming to California for a little vacation, make a little side trip. We're on the way to Santa Barbara. It's a great stopover. And then social media, I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and it's Glass Arts Collective. So it's easy to find me, and feel free to send me a chat. Pick up the phone and call me if you want, 818-318-1462. If I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to.
That's awesome, Nancy. It's been fun hearing your journey from 35 years in the corporate world to now having your own art studio. Do you have any last minute thoughts before we head off here? 20 minutes has gone by in a flash.
Sure has. Humor. Always try to have humor, and always try to have a hobby. It's important, but don't beat yourself up over anything. Be kind to yourself. Self-care is probably one of the most important things there is out there, and we have a tendency to forget to take care of ourselves.
Well, that's awesome, Nancy. I wish you nothing but success here from the United States of
Thank
Small
you.
Business Podcast. And for folks listening in, if you just caught the tail end here, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. You'll get to hear Nancy's journey from 35 years in the corporate world to having her own art studio and now teaching other folks how to make art and making a very positive impact on lots of people's lives. So, Nancy, we hope you have a phenomenal rest of the week. And until next time, I'm John Quick from the United States of Small Business Podcast. Thanks so much, Nancy.
Thanks, John.